We are reading from The Manipulated Mind by Denise Wynn. We are in Chapter 9, and this is Part 6. Alan R. Nelson, one enthusiast of psychographics that Packard mentions, discovered that the best way to sell decorated toilet paper, hardly an essential in life, was to make the most of a finding that guests instinctively study bathrooms to pick up information about their hosts. The bathroom, therefore, takes on new import. It is almost a soul laid bare. Any minor weaknesses an individual may have will most likely be betrayed by its manifestations in the bathroom. Decorated toilet paper was concluded to be one good solution to this dilemma of modern life. Not all examples of the advertising psychologists at work are so amusing, or perhaps harmless. One consultant told a toy manufacturer's convention that their advertising should be geared towards stirring up the guilt of working parents. If both parents were out at work all day, they were likely to feel nagging worries that perhaps they were neglecting their child and would need to find ways to help square their conscience. How better than to build a child special treats? The consultant said that such guilt could be exploited all year round. It didn't have seasonal limitations like Christmas. Successful attitude influencers, in whatever context they are working, need to discover what it is that motivates individuals most, either to take steps to achieve something or to avoid something, just as the Chinese and police interrogators have to discover the basic personality traits and weaknesses of individuals and tailor their technique to home in on them. So advertising at its most sophisticated must analyze prospective markets into ever-refined categories for the same purpose. It is not enough to aim at girls over 14, but under 21. Better to focus on 14 to 21-year-olds who come from strict homes, are bothered about their weight and feel guilty about self-indulgence, and pitch the sales talk accordingly. Just as confession may bring relief from anxiety, so may buying a particular product. While it might be comfortable to believe that advertisers are probably not half so successful in their sell as they like to think they are, it is worth remembering that an audience may well aid the advertisers by its will to be deceived. Although the message has been put across ad nauseum by doctors in consultations and in magazine columns that there is no way to lose weight except to diet, every new fad pill or slimming machine that purports to shift inches is gratefully seized on by the overweight in their desperation to find a solution that removes responsibility from themselves. Much product appeal is based on the fact that you don't have to make the effort to achieve the required results. Adverts do not have to be subtle in content in order to be subtle in effect. By pure repetition, an association may be conditioned between a brand name and a product, in some cases with such success that the brand name becomes interchangeable with the product. Thus we talk about Hoovers, Xerox machines, and bureaus, whatever the hell that is. If advertisers can encourage belief in their brand, they are probably home and dry. Belief in the name may be enough to make it work. Doctors at Keele University tested the effect of branding on 835 women who frequently suffered from headaches. The women were given either a particular well-known analgesic or placebo. Some of the women received analgesics in a packet with the brand name on it. Others received them in packets without a name. The placebos were also distributed in brand name or no-name packets. The doctors found that the greatest headache relief was provided by the brand name tablets when they were supplied in branded packets to those who normally use those anyway. If they didn't have their name on the packet, they weren't so effective, even amongst women who normally use them. Women who usually used other brands got more relief from the brand name pills when they didn't know what they were, i.e. if they were given no-name packets. The placebos brought a fair amount of relief both when provided in branded and unbranded packets, but less than either the branded or the unbranded analgesic. The researchers concluded that headache relief was therefore not all in the mind, but could be aided by belief in the powers of a product, either because that product had been tried before or because someone else made claims for it. Some advertisers use the home trial to capitalize on the psychological effects of commitment. The action of cutting out a coupon, filling it in, and remembering to post it may predispose one to feel favorably towards a product in order to justify one's investment of energy so far. Similarly, encouraging shoppers to participate in product trials in supermarkets may work to make them feel favorably disposed towards the product in question. As we saw in Chapter 6, role-playing of any kind strengthens identification with the role, even if it is one to which the actor is normally opposed. In the 1950s, there was an outcry over subliminal advertising when it was discovered that messages or pictures one couldn't see were being slipped into advertisements, posters, and films. The messages were designed to predispose the viewer to buy a certain product without realizing that his urge to do so was anything other than self-willed. Although it remained highly dubious whether such techniques were effective, the practice was banned in Britain and some American states. Much quoted to fan the fear of such insidious attack on autonomy, there has been Norman Dixon's finding in 1955 that when he presented to subjects words that were just below the threshold at which they are registered consciously, and then asked them to say the first word that came into their heads, they chose the words that had some meaningful connection with the words they had just seen subliminally. R. Young showed that in sleep the mind corresponded measurably by special instruments to faint but significant sounds such as the whispering of an individual's name. The individual would not wake, or if he did, he wouldn't have registered why. This showed that some part of the brain was able to respond to low-key stimuli, presumably in the case the stimuli signified a potential threat, whilst the person remained unaware that anything had occurred and been registered. While such findings proved that subliminal advertising might be effective and therefore was unethical, more recent findings of a similar ilk have allowed advertisers to capitalize on the fruits of research without resorting to anything overtly controversial. Discoveries about the differing roles of the left and right hemispheres of the brain have shown that the left brain is the conscious, logical side, while the right brain is more concerned with intuitive, creative thought. The left brain being dominant in Western society, emphasis being placed on intellectual skills, tends to drown out the right brain, which only achieves dominance when the other is switched off, as during sleep or relaxation or meditation. Advertisers don't mind if television viewers watching a film mentally switch off when the adverts come on and talk to each other or pick up a newspaper. The right brain is still watching. It is perhaps interesting that subliminal advertising created the uproar that it did. It was patently not fair play, and yet in advertising generally, it is not the overt message that is important, it is the hidden message that stirs up largely unconscious guilt or insecurity, which can be relieved by purchasing the product. And that was part 6 of Chapter 9. We're reading from The Manipulated Mind by Denise Wynn, and we will pick up with part 7 in the next video, and it will take maybe 1 or 2 more videos to terminate this chapter. See you there.